Imagine a quiet afternoon in the arid plains of Canaan. The sun casts golden hues over the vast desert, and a gentle breeze carries the scent of roasted grain and fresh milk. Suddenly, three mysterious figures appear near Abraham's tent. Who are these visitors? Why have they come? And how will their message change the course of history? As we begin our study of the life of Abraham, we'll be traveling back through time nearly 4,000 years into a semi-nomadic Middle Bronze Age culture. Far removed from our own, Abraham was a semi-nomadic shepherd to whom God revealed himself, made promises, and entered into covenant concerning Abraham's offspring and the land that they would inherit in the future. Abraham's belief in these promises was counted by God as righteousness, and his faith shaped his life. Abraham and Sarah lived in the ancient land of Canaan, a rugged yet fertile region dotted with oases and grazing lands. Their camp was likely composed of numerous black goat hair tents, each serving different purposes. The largest belonged to Abraham and Sarah, adorned with woven rugs, clay storage jars, and cooking tools. Camels, sheep, and goats roamed the nearby pasture, tended by Abraham's many servants. Life in Abraham's time was deeply communal. He was a wealthy and respected patriarch leading a large household of family members, servants, and shepherds. Meals were simple but nourishing. Bread baked over an open fire, freshly drawn milk, roasted lamb, and a variety of fruits such as figs and dates. Water was a precious resource, carefully drawn from nearby wells, and fire was started using flint or by rubbing sticks together. Genesis 18 tells us that as Abraham sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day, he looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. Ancient Near Eastern culture placed great importance on hospitality, and Abraham was eager to offer the best he had. Abraham showed immediate hospitality to the three men, inviting them to rest under a tree and preparing a big meal for them. He then hurried into the tent and instructed Sarah to prepare fine flour to bake fresh bread. Meanwhile, he selected a choice calf from his herd, ensuring that his guests would be well fed. He served them curds, milk, and the freshly prepared meal, standing nearby as they ate. Here is where the story takes a fascinating turn. As the three visitors dined, they spoke with an authority beyond that of mere men. One of them, whom many scholars and theologians believe to be the pre-incarnate Christ, delivered an astonishing prophecy. Sarah, despite her old age, would bear a son within a year. In Genesis 18:12, we read Sarah's response, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" But then in verse 13 and 14, the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." It showcases not only God's power, but also his intimate involvement in human affairs. Abraham and Sarah, long past the age of childbearing, were about to witness a miracle. The presence of three figures has intrigued scholars for centuries. Some see them as angels, others as a theophany, a physical manifestation of God. Christian tradition often connects this event with the Holy Trinity, while Jewish sources emphasize the angelic mission, one to announce Isaac's birth, one to destroy Sodom, and one to heal Abraham after his circumcision. After delivering their message, the visitors turned their attention towards Sodom and Gomorrah. This shift in conversation reveals another layer of Abraham's character, his deep sense of justice and intercession. He boldly pleaded with God to spare the righteous in Sodom, negotiating down to just 10 righteous people. Understanding the world Abraham and Sarah lived in adds depth to the story. Their clothing was made from wool and linen, often dyed in earthy tones. Sarah, as the matriarch, likely oversaw the weaving of fabrics and the preparation of food. Water had to be drawn from wells, and fire was started using flint or by rubbing sticks together. The community operated under patriarchal leadership, with Abraham serving as both a spiritual and societal guide. His wealth was measured in livestock, silver and land, making him a formidable figure in the region. His influence extended beyond his camp, as he was known to make alliances with local rulers and engage in negotiations. Hospitality in Abraham's time was not simply a kind gesture, it was a deeply ingrained cultural duty. A traveler arriving at someone's tent was considered to be under their protection, and refusing to offer food and shelter was seen as a great dishonor. Abraham's generosity reflected his righteousness and the values upheld by people of faith. When Abraham served the three visitors, it was not merely an act of kindness, but a significant moment of divine encounter. The meal itself symbolized fellowship and communion, drawing parallels to later biblical themes of divine provision and sacred feasts. Sarah's laughter at the prophecy of her pregnancy was more than just skepticism. It was the reaction of a woman who had endured decades of disappointment. She had accepted barrenness as her reality, and the idea of becoming a mother in her old age seemed absurd. However, God's response, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" reminds us that His power transcends human limitations. This moment echoes throughout Scripture, reaffirming that faith often requires trusting in what seems impossible. From the birth of Isaac to the miraculous conceptions of John the Baptist and Jesus Christ, God repeatedly demonstrates that He fulfills His promises in ways beyond human understanding. The story of Abraham and the three visitors teaches us about faith, hospitality, and divine timing. These three visitors whom Abraham entertained were heavenly, and Abraham and Sarah were in the company of God Himself. The story teaches us that God is aware of what is happening on earth and He is involved. God can even visit or send His heavenly messengers to help fulfill His plans. We may not always realize whom we are speaking with, so we should treat everyone as though they were on special assignment from God. Hebrews 13:2 reminds us, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." Question: how often do we doubt God's promises because they seem improbable? How willing are we to welcome the unexpected into our lives, just as Abraham welcomed his heavenly guests? The encounter between Abraham and the three visitors is more than just a historical account. It's a powerful demonstration of faith, divine intervention, and hospitality. What lessons can we take from Abraham's example? How does this story foreshadow greater promises to come? Join us in the next video as we explore the fate of Sodom and Gomorrah and Abraham's bold intercession before God. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you found this exploration insightful. Cheers.